these players rising up big boards, and then there's obviously more than one for both of us, and you can check that out on the blog for some of the other guys who have risen up our big boards. That means that also people have fallen because they didn't do so well at the Combine. So, Herbie, who is your biggest faller from this Combine?
You know, I had a couple. I had Eddie Goldman fall first, but you know he didn't really participate at the Combine. So I'm going to go with Landon Collins, which I really, which you probably hate me for, and I hate doing myself because I think he is no doubt the best defensive back in this draft class. And you know, sadly, this is a reflection of what I think you can kind of either him or Trey Waynes, but I think no doubt he's the best safety. And it hurt me to move him from 6 down to 16, but I think you wanted to see some better numbers from him. Him and Vic Beasley had the same 40-yard dash, which is it's not terrible. You'd hate to see that more from a corner, but and he's a strong safety as well. It plays more of like an outside linebacker type, so I'll let him slide on that. The 35-inch vertical, I need better than that from Landon Collins, and the 120-inch broad, I need better than that as well. And then when you saw him do pass catching drills, obviously not a huge concern for the strong safety, but this is a league where safeties have to make picks. You saw him lose focus when he dropped one ball on the rest of his catches when you watched him in the Combine. Like I said, I still think he's clearly the best safety in this draft, and I could see him easily going in the top 10 if a GM found that necessity. Obviously, like we said, this is a draft where we're not going to know that. I could see him doing it. I don't think it will happen, and I see him going in kind of the 10 to 20 range. He's going to be a steal in that range right there, and I think taking him in the top 10 is a reach, but potentially a necessary reach. But he's got it. He's my. I'm shocked that I made him drop. So he's my most shocking drop right now.
Yeah, for me, you're right. And from a lot of these top tier safeties that you've seen go in the top 10, a la Ed Reed and Eric Berry, who Landon was kind of anointed to be the next one of those style of guys. You wanted to see him running those 4.4s. You wanted to see a little bit better vertical, whatever it might be. I wasn't too worried because I watched his Combine drills and all the coverage drills. He looked fine. I didn't see anything that really worried me. Like you said, I had him drop a couple spaces too. I had him drop behind Trey Waynes, but still think he's the best overall defensive back in this class. It's just one of those things where the safety position, for as important as people say it is, has become a little devalued as far as the top of the draft goes, because people believe they can find athletes throughout the top 4 rounds to play safeties, and that's a fair statement. For me, my biggest follower for a very similar reason is Shaq Thompson from Washington, who the jackknife of all trades, really explosive athlete when you put on the
he's our boy.
Exactly. I know, Herbie, that you love Shaq Thompson, probably even more than I do. And the 4.6, 440, only a 33-inch vertical, 117-inch broad jump. He did have a great 20-yard shuttle at 4.8 seconds, 4.08 seconds. But when you're the linebacker position is another position that has been completely devalued within the first round of the draft, which is obviously the one that we all focus on the most. And if Shaq, being this guy who, he's 6'1", 6'2", he made all those huge strip sack fumbles. He played running back for a lot of this season as well, and was supposed to be this overall explosive talent on the defensive side of the ball, maybe even play some safety. You needed to really show out at the Combine to put yourself in that top 15 picks. And he didn't. He put up pretty average linebacker numbers, what are still very good numbers, and something that he can be proud of and really show off. But the Combine wasn't great for him. We'll see if he can bounce back at his pro day, but you just didn't see that, that explosive extra gear that you expect to see from a player who is so highly touted as an athlete, even more than a football player.
And I agree with you. And the thing, it's such a devalued first-round pick, and I hate it so much because all of this makes me think about is Vontaze Burfict. It's like, so many of these linebackers, their NFL appearance really transfers from their game tape, and I think that's going to be the same thing with Denzel Perryman and Bernardrick McKinney. They're probably not on a lot of people's big boards, and they might fall the second round, but those are honestly, when you look at their game tapes, those guys are first-round talents, even though they're probably not going to go in the first round. I mean, Denzel Perryman is an absolute killer. I mean, Shaq Thompson he's an incredible athlete, a guy that can play on both sides of the ball. I love those type of players. In college, I mean, you just don't find them. So they have that extra motor that brings that extra energy, and it's just not what you're just not going to see it in the combine, which really I think kind of hurts them more than anything. Which is why I really don't pay attention to linebackers, in the combine. Maybe 40s and that. And his 40 was okay, but yeah, you're right. I mean, linebackers in the first round are really devalued. You don't see them really going top 10, top 20 anymore.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that Shaq is a victim of his own position. And if he if he'd ran a 4.4, had a 40-inch vertical, he would have stayed in my top 15 players. But the simple fact is he didn't, and that makes him fall. I really was tempted to actually go with Arik Armstead here, the big defensive end out of Oregon. The reason I kind of avoided him, even though he was my overall biggest faller down my big board from 9 to 19, the reason I avoided him is simply because he doesn't really know how to play football yet. He was a basketball player at Oregon before joining the football team the past couple of years. So I'm going to kind of give him a pass. See, people are drafting him on his overall size and athletic ability. They're not drafting him solely on his workout numbers or his technique. So I think that Shaq Thompson is a guy who needed to show me more in his workouts. He didn't. He's going to be fine. He's probably still going to go in the first round. I had him going to the Cowboys in my last mock draft. In our upcoming mock draft, I'll probably have him at a similar position. But it's just unfortunate that guys like this who just play a certain position lose ground and lose money just because of the position they play and the numbers they put out at a combine without pads on.
Got to earn it now in this league.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for watching another edition of the Roll-Toddy Draft Blog. These were our risers and fallers up our big boards, thanks to this past week's NFL Combine. So please check for more posts and more conversations throughout the offseason as we gear up for this May's NFL Draft.